Hey all you Minties, this is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an overview of the Neil Gaiman Library hardcover editions from Dark Horse Comics. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back everybody. Before getting started, all of these books are still in print. So if you're wanting to pick them up, if you want to try them out, all three of these are still in print. These are the only three so far. I'm sure there's going to be more later, but I haven't seen any solicitations for those yet. Now, before going any further and talking about the build of each of these, I did want to do a quick size comparison to give you an idea about the dimensions of the books. Here it is compared to the size of an omnibus. Of course, being taller than an omnibus, that's the way most of these Dark Horse Library editions are. And it's also wider, however, not as thick. But each of the library editions varies in thickness anyway. So here's what all the spines look like together. I love the uniform look. It's beautiful. I love when they do this and there's no logo changes and then 2 isn't up here. Sometimes, Dark Horse has done that in the past. And then the back of each of the books. And each of these books retails for $49.99. Now, let's look at Volume 1, look at some of the artwork, and talk a little bit about what's in here. But before we do that, I did want to point out that they all come with a dust jacket. And under that dust jacket is exactly the same thing that is on the dust jacket. So the art on the board is the same, the text on the backboard is identical, and even the spines are identical. So if you're not a fan of dust jackets, you could completely take them off and have this beautiful hardcover. Has a soft feel to it. Now, let's go ahead and get Volume 1 opened. So, here we have Volume 1. We have some black bookend pages. The Neil Gaiman Library. So, what exactly is in here? I'm sure most of you have heard of Neil Gaiman already. Some of you may not have. So the library collects a lot of his stories that were adapted into a comic book, whether it was by himself or whether it was someone else adapting the comic book. So on the left-hand side here, it tells you what the 4 stories that are collected in here are, and you can tell who the adaptation script writer was, and then the artwork. Now, some Neil Gaiman himself wrote. I think most of those are found in Volume 2. And then it tells you the artist of each of the books. By the way, I forgot to mention that each of the books has a brand new piece of artwork from Fabio Moon, and it does feature the characters that you will find inside of this particular, or each of the volumes. Whatever volume you're on, you will find the characters on the front cover. So here's your table of contents. And A Study in Emerald is how we're going to kick it off. A New Friend. So this is a pretty cool story. It's about one of the world's greatest detectives who will not be named. Is it or is it not the character we're thinking about? Well, you can find out for yourself, but this is what the artwork looks like. This is particularly this story is drawn by Rafael Albuquerque, who went on to do things like American Vampire. But he helped adapt this particular storyline, and it has a mix of H.P. Lovecraft in here. Now, I'm not going to go through each story, but I do want to showcase at least some of the artwork from each of the 4 stories found in each book. Next up, we have Murder Mysteries. This is an awesome story. This is adapted by P. Craig Russell, the legendary P. Craig Russell. And it's about a crime murder. And it all takes place in heaven. So this is a solid story. This one's based on his short stories. Some of these stories you've already read, maybe in Fragile Things, or there's audio books of some of these stories. But these are the comic book adaptations of them. And probably my favorite one in this particular volume, How to Talk to Girls at Parties. Fabio Moon, Gabriel Ba, helping with the artwork. Oh, this one is solid. The least you know about it, the better off you are. But just know that these girls at the party are nothing what they appear to be. But I did want to showcase some of this beautiful artwork here. And this particular volume has 312 pages. Now let's look at the final story in here. Forbidden Bridges of the Faceless Slaves in the Secret House of the Knight of Dread Desire. How awesome is that title? This one, I think, is done by Shane Oakley. He does the writing as well as the art. And I think he does some of the colors towards the beginning. It's about an author. And then this is what the colors look like towards the later part of the book. Now, each of these do come with extras in the back, such as the script for some of the stories, breaking down the panels of the books. Forgot I can't show some of these because they do reveal some spoilers. And then there's sketchbooks back here. And let's look at the next book. Here we have Volume 2. Again, Fabio Moon's new artwork featuring characters or people from inside of the stories found in this volume, such as the Troll Bridge here, likely stories, the facts in the case of the departure of Miss Finch right here, and Harley Quinn Valentine. And on the left-hand side here, you have all the creators that are adapting the books here. The only one that is actually doing the adaptation script is Mark Buckingham for Likely Stories, though. The rest of these are scripted and written by Neil Gaiman. It's so good to see Michael Zulu's artwork in here. He's the one that did Puma Blues. And Colleen Doran's art is going to... Oh, it's so beautiful. But I think I like the art in the Snow Princess more. So I got to be careful with this particular story. This is Likely Stories. And Likely Stories is about just people sitting around a bar and telling stories. But they're so weird. A lot of, I was going to say, this volume in particular has a lot of mature themes. There's a lot of sexual content in this particular story here. But I did want to showcase some of the artwork here by Mark Buckingham, who is probably known to a lot of people for doing most of the artwork in Fables. Speaking of Fables, it's coming back. Awesome. I'm so glad they're doing a 12-issue maxi series and a Bigby and Batman 6-issue miniseries. But look at all the panels. That's what I love about this particular version of Neil Gaiman's stories, because it's oversized artwork. And there's so many panels in this particular story that it deserves to be an oversized format. And here's I think this is the closing time story, which is the final story. This is the Troll Bridge by Colleen Doran, and it's about a boy and a troll and their relationship throughout his life. And this one here, man, this one touches me. This one's it's kind of a heartbreaking story towards the end, but you can read it for yourself. I did want to show, though, the artwork of the troll. It's creepy. There he is. There you go. And if you want to be blown away, here's John Bolton's Harley Quinn Valentine. This is a beautifully crafted story. I think originally published by Vertigo Comics, and then Dark Horse did a standard hardcover edition, a trade paperback edition. So most of the stories that you're going to see in these library editions are available individually in standard size hardcovers or in trade paperbacks. This particular volume has 240 pages. It's about a Harley Quinn giving his heart away. You can find out what I mean by that by reading the story. And all of these stories have their own covers, but I didn't want to spoil the last page of the previous story. This is the Miss Finch story by Michael Zulu, who is a phenomenal artist. He was an independent artist. Took years to make the Puma Blues story. Did end up doing artwork for Sandman. So him and Neil Gaiman have worked in the past before. Now, one thing I'm pretty sure you all have noticed, because I'm a huge fan of this, each book comes with a black ribbon. Love when they add little extras like this. And here is Volume 3, the final volume we have so far. Knock on wood. Hopefully there will be more. But before I go any further, a huge shout out to JP from Organic Price Books for sending me this copy right here. So, again, a brand new cover by Fabio Moon and your creators here on the left-hand side. You're about to be blown away by Colleen Doran's artwork in Snow Glass Apples if you've never seen it. Oh, the problem with Susan and other stories breaks my heart. And Creatures of the Night, again, the return of Michael Zulu. And you have P. Craig Russell doing a lot of artwork here. So we'll look at the build of this particular volume. They're all built like this. But I did want to point out that the paper quality is this thick, and I mean really thick, glossy paper. But as you can tell, the book is laying down rather well. So here's Snow Glass Apples. If you want to see a more in-depth review, my wonderful wife, the Astonishing Melanie, did one about 2 years ago, I think, of the standard size hardcover. but the artwork deserves to be in this format. Had to make sure to skip some pages because this one also has mature content, and it is a take on the Snow White story. But it is beautiful, based on one of his short stories, I think first appearing in Fragile Things. But just look at that. Man, that's gorgeous. Absolutely stunning, especially in this format. And just showcasing a few more pages from this particular story. Just the colors and the amount of detail in the backgrounds. This is gorgeous. I think they're just picking berries down there in that panel. It really does take artwork this size to appreciate pieces like this splash page there. That is stunning. All right, let's keep going. So we have The Problem of Susan and Other Stories. This one is just basically the story of Susan, one of the sisters from the Chronicles of Narnia. And it talks about her as an older woman and how she's kind of turned away from the world of magic with, of course, some plot twist and some really weird things. This one, of course, adapted by P. Craig Russell, the legendary P. Craig Russell. It's not the only story in there. We also have Locks. Of course, a take on Goldilocks. I can only show one page of that. And this is October in the Chairs by Scott Hampton, or doing the artwork. I think this one was adapted by P. Craig Russell, but it's just your campfire stories, or stories around the campfire, rather, with a nice Neil Gaiman twist. The Day the Saucers Came. This is an excellent take on an alien invasion, maybe. But this is drawn by Paul Chadwick, who is known for being the creator of Concrete. So this is Only the End of the World. Again, this is the only one out of this complete collection or library edition that I haven't read yet. This one is drawn and adapted by P. Craig Russell, but Troy Nixie does the finishing artwork, so it looks different. It looks a lot more independent. So I've not read this one, so I got to be careful flipping through this one, not to spoil it for myself. Alright, and here we have Michael Zulu returning and teaming up with Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman writing and scripting this story, Creatures of the Night. And it's always good to see Michael Zulu. He is probably the best artist when it comes to creatures, to animals. I love his artwork. And this is what it looks like. And of course, when you have a story called Creatures of the Night, not everything is as it seems, because it's Neil Gaiman. And as always, the back has extras like sketches and unused pages. But the other thing they do is they tell you what other titles Neil Gaiman has written. So there's a lot of American gods, of course, but there is enough material. My wife did an overview of the Norse mythology, which is based on his book. It's also, this one is adapted by P. Craig Russell, but there is enough material for another library edition, or for them to continue it. I would love to see this, P. Craig Russell's artwork, Mike Mignola, in oversized format. Then, of course, other creators that help with the books or have worked with Neil Gaiman. Now, as far as the binding, it is sewn binding. And like I said, each one comes with a ribbon. And there's your eye, even though you don't really need much of an eye. It's nice to see that. Thick and glossy paper, absolutely beautiful. If you don't have these, if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman, if you're a fan of Sandman, strongly suggest getting these. If you've even if you've already read the original the original books that these are based on, the original stories, 100%, the comic books take you someplace else. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. cheapgraphicnovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and the build of each of these hardcovers. Let me know in the comments down below if you were on the fence about picking them up, if you already picked them up, if you have the original trade paperbacks or standard size hardcovers. I would love to know all those comments down below. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and ring that bell for notifications. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel, and thank you so much to our existing patrons for making videos like this possible. More importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.